Good afternoon. Today I'm going to be reviewing the San Martin SN020-G limited edition. This watch is available exclusively from watchdives.com for $254. You can use the discount code WR4K and that will give you $15 discount off the $254 price. So firstly, let's look at the box that the watch comes in, and then I'll talk you through the other items one gets with the piece. So the limited edition version of the SN020-G comes in this black pelican style case, and as you can see, San Martin have made it in partnership with watchdives.com, so this limited edition is exclusive to watchdives.com. I like this style of pelican case. It does a very good job of protecting the watch in shipping from any damage. The interior is fully lined with two pieces of foam, as you can see, and I think it's very aesthetically pleasing. So with regards to the other items, this is the warranty card, and as you can see on the reverse it is stamped by San Martin and the date of purchase is filled in. Now I want to clarify something. If one purchases a San Martin watch, usually the watch is covered by a 12-month international guarantee, which is very reassuring. But however, if you purchase the watch from watchdives.com, the watch will be covered with a 3-year international guarantee, which is just exceptional at this price point. This is the owner's instruction manual which comes with the watch, and it also details the terms and conditions of the international warranty. It goes into detail how to operate the movement used, which is the Seiko NH35A automatic, so a very useful read. This is the plastic tag which comes with the watch. And lastly, one gets two tools. This is a stainless steel knurled screwdriver used for resizing the screw pins in the bracelet. And one also gets this stainless steel spring bar tool. At one end there's a push pin, and at the other end we have a two-pronged fork. So it's nice to get these kind of accessories included with the watch. So with regards to the specification of the piece, this is the San Martin SN020-G limited edition. 39mm case diameter. It has a 47.5mm lug-to-lug measurement. The thickness is 12.7mm, including the double dome sapphire crystal, and the lug width is 20mm. The oyster style bracelet tapers from 20mm at the lugs down to the 2-button push clasp, and as you can see it is signed to a very high standard with the San Martin hex logo. 2-button push triggers to the clasp, and the clasp is finished to perfection. As you can see, beautiful luster to the 316L grade stainless steel, and it has 4 micro adjustment holes and 2-button push triggers. Double dome sapphire crystal with clear AR coating on the underside. I absolutely love the double dome sapphire crystal. It gives the watch a nice vintage aesthetic, but it also benefits from being made from sapphire crystal, which of course is harder than mineral crystal or plexiglass or hesselite, which of course vintage pieces were made from. The clear AR coating does an outstanding job of reducing the glare and the highly reflective nature of the applied indices, the applied hex logo, and also the silver Mercedes hands. The symmetry of the dial is perfect. I absolutely love the symmetry and the legibility of the dial. I also like the fact it's not over-branded with unnecessary text or specification. It simply says automatic, 100 meters equals 330 feet. Just the right amount of information on the dial, and I absolutely love it. I think the dial is done to perfection. Nice indexing to the chapter ring around the circumference of the dial, and it really is just the perfect dial design. So with regards to the rest of the specification, the bezel is mirror polished to a flawless finish, which is made from solid 316L grade stainless steel, as is the case and the screw down case back. One thing I really like about this piece is the quality of the case finishing is just outstanding. Flawless mirror polishing to the flanks of the case, and they contrast beautifully with the brushed grain satin finish to the tops of the lugs. It has the aesthetic of a vintage Rolex piece from the 1970s or 1980s, because the diagonal grains of the 316L grade stainless steel on the lugs are just brushed into perfection on all 4 tops of the lugs. No sharp edges whatsoever to the case. It's just the kind of finishing one would expect to see on a mid-tier piece costing in excess of €1,000. So to get this level of case finishing on a piece that only costs $254 is just incredible, and San Martin deserve full credit for that. The coin edge finish, solid 316L grade stainless steel screw down crown, is also finished to perfection. perfect proportions to it, signed with the San Martin S. Now, this is the only negative of the watch, my only criticism of the watch, and I would like to see San Martin change the S logo to their hex logo because I think that would look better. So let's test the crown action. Absolutely silky smooth thread action from the internal thread of the crown, which meshes perfectly with the external thread of the stainless steel crown tube. It feels so smooth, it reminds me of my Rolex Oyster Perpetual 41. It has exactly the same crown action as a Rolex, and I really think, again, San Martin deserve full credit for that, because this is only $254 US, but one is getting Rolex level crown action. It's just absolutely silky smooth. There's no resistance to the threading whatsoever. Pulling it out to the first position is the manual wind position, and one can manually wind the movements, which is the Seiko NH35A automatic, to top up its power reserve to its maximum 40 hours. Very satisfying to manually wind the movement because one can gradually feel the tension building up in the mainspring to its maximum 40 hours. Absolute pleasure to manually wind it. Pulling it out to the final position is the time setting position. Characteristic of the NH35A is it's got a nice smooth but firm resistance when setting the time, and as you can see it stops the second hand dead. The movement has hacking, which is great because you can hack the movement to set the time precisely to the second. So absolute pleasure to operate the crown. Pushing it in, it's got a nice positive click, and as you can see that restarts the movement and one can see the second hand beginning to sweep again. So I'll just screw it back down and test the action. Just incredible. It really is exactly the same as my Rolex Oyster Perpetual 41. It's just so silky smooth. The pickup of the thread is immediate. When one pushes the crown back in and turns it clockwise, it immediately engages with the external thread of the crown tube. It really is one of the best crown actions I have experienced on a watch. I think it's just fantastic. So beautiful finishing to the case. The bracelet is also finished to perfection. Absolutely beautiful luster to the 316L grade stainless steel, as you can see. Brushed satin finish to the top side, underside, and that contrasts beautifully with the mirror polished flanks. Screw pins in the bracelet rather than push pins, so it's clear that San Martin haven't used any cost-cutting measures. Now, one thing I really like about this bracelet is the use of female pivoted end links, and I've discussed this in previous reviews. I absolutely love the female pivoted end links because they allow the end of the oyster style bracelet to articulate more than male end links, which often extend the effective lug to lug measurement. As you can see, the end of the oyster style bracelet can articulate underneath the case. So regardless of whether you're a collector with a smaller wrist of 6 to 7 inches or a collector with a larger wrist of 7 to 8 inches, you are going to find this gives a very snug fit to the case, because unlike male links, the female pivoted end links allow the end of the bracelet to pull tighter and more snug to the wrist. So it really is a very good enhancement, and San Martin deserve full credit because these solid end links are a good tight fit to the case. There's no play whatsoever, and they really are very well formed. The shape of the end link fits very well to the end of the case. So credit where credit's due. This is how other watch bands should be doing it. They have got this correct, and it's something that watch bands so often get incorrect. They use male end links rather than female pivoted end links. With regards to the case back, it's solid 316L grade stainless steel. Concentric brushed satin finishing, done to perfection. Coin edge finishing to the circumference, and I absolutely love the fact it's flat. No engraving, it's undecorated, but it makes for a very comfortable wearing experience because there's no engraving, there's no embossed logo, so it feels very flat and smooth on the wrist. And if you look, it's also very low profile. That's something I really like about this watch, and I want you to bear it in mind. It is only 12.7mm thick overall, including the double domed sapphire crystal. Now, one is limited with the Seiko NH35A because it's an automatic with a rotor on the underside of the minimum thickness of case one can use to house the movement. It's generally accepted that 13mm is acceptable for an NH35A. San Martin deserve full credit for getting this watch down to only 12.7mm thick, including the double dome sapphire crystal, which as you can see adds significant thickness to the piece. At under 13mm, the proportions are done to perfection. I also really like the 47.5mm lug to lug measurement with the 20mm lug width. So I'll give you a wrist shot and you can see how it fits on my 8-inch wrist. Now I haven't sized the bracelet, I've simply taken it out of the watch box and put it on wrist. And I'm pleased to report that out of the box, this SN020-G limited edition fits my 8-inch wrist to perfection, as if I had sized it to fit my wrist. So if you're a collector with a 6 to 7-inch wrist, this is going to fit you to perfection. Regardless, if you're a collector with a 7 to 8-inch wrist, it will also fit you to perfection. The 2-button push clasp is just absolutely gorgeous to look at. Nice positive action to the 2 triggers, good firm resistance, good reassuring positive click. This clasp is an example to other watch brands of how to do it correctly. It cannot be improved upon. Comfortable, looks good, good firm resistance to the 2 triggers. Everything about it is just sublime. The Oyster style bracelet has a beautiful luster to it, and really they have got the taper on the bracelet done to perfection. It tapers from 20mm down to the 2-button push clasp. It's just absolutely perfect. The 20mm lug width perfectly balances the 39mm head of the piece. Now I'm sure you'll agree that this is an incredibly aesthetically pleasing piece. Everything about it is just beautiful to look at. The clear AR coating on the underside of the double dome sapphire crystal does an outstanding job of reducing the glare and the highly reflective nature of the applied hex logo, the applied indices and the silver Mercedes hands. Double dome sapphire crystal just looks absolutely beautiful when one looks at it projecting above the mirror polished bezel. I just absolutely love the look of it. Now the lug to lug measurement is sublime, 47.5mm as I've discussed. That is very close to perfection. As you'll know from my previous reviews, I consider 48mm to be the sweet spot. It fits all wrist sizes regardless of whether you have a 7 to 8-inch wrist or a 6 to 7-inch wrist. 47.5 will fit you. Very snug fit to the wrist. Now I was talking earlier about the female pivoted end links. As you can see, that pulls the end link of the bracelet very close to the wrist, and I really like that extra articulation. If this were a male end link, the lug to lug measurement would be exaggerated, and therefore the end of the Oyster style bracelet would have an unsightly gap underneath the end of the case. But as you can see, the pivoting of the female end link pulls the bracelet closer to the wrist for a more snug fit. And I can tell you that this is an incredibly comfortable piece to wear for long periods of time, such as 8 to 12 hours per day. This is the perfect daily wear piece. 12.7mm means it is easily going to slip underneath a shirt cuff if you wear business shirts, so this is the ideal daily wear piece. It really cannot be improved upon. Clearly legible, and I absolutely love the matte black dial. It's a very dark charcoal grey colour which looks matte black, and that also reduces the reflective nature of the dial because the matte black is less reflective than a metallic or enamel glossy black finish dial or a sunburst black dial. It's just absolutely sublime. So let's do the lume test, because I'm very interested to see how the BGW9 Super Luminova performs on this dial and hands. So as always, I'm going to use my 100 UV LED torch to charge it up to its absolute maximum. Right, so that's now fully charged, and as you can see, it has not disappointed. This is top quality BGW9 Super Luminova. This is the very best of Super Luminova. It cannot be beaten. I would describe the performance in terms of the brightness and the length of time this lume is glowing to be equal to Seiko Lumibright, which is the very best of Japanese lume, or alternatively equal to Rolex Chromalight, which is the very best of Swiss lume. It really is very similar to Swiss BGW9 Super Luminova. It's glowing incredibly brightly on the applied indices and also the Mercedes hands. One can also see a dot of lume on the sweeping second hand, so it's clearly legible, and one can clearly see the orientation of the dial because of the triangle index at 12 o'clock, and then we have rectangular indices at 9, 6 and 3. So the orientation, the legibility is outstanding. The brightness of the BGW9 Super Luminova is also outstanding. This is the very best, and really San Martin deserve full credit for not cutting any corners. I really think this is just exceptional. Right, so let's discuss the movement used. You will all be familiar with the Seiko NH35A automatic. Made in Japan, it has 24 joules. It runs at 21,600 vibrations per hour and a frequency of 3 Hz. It has hand winding and hacking, which are useful complications, and the stated accuracy of the NH35A is -20 to +40 seconds per day. So a rather wide accuracy range, but however, I'm pleased to report that San Martin are well regulating the Seiko NH35A automatics they are using. This one has been regulated very well to plus 5 seconds per day when the movement is wound to its maximum 40-hour power reserve. That is within COSC chronometer limits of accuracy. COSC chronometer limits are -4 to +6 seconds per day, so I want you to consider that. This watch only costs $254 but it is regulated to plus 5 seconds per day, which is chronometer grade accuracy. So it's a reliable, well-proven workhorse movement made by Seiko in Japan, but it is also very well regulated to plus 5 seconds per day. And to get that kind of accuracy at this low tier price point is just incredible. So lastly, I'll summarise the piece. What do I think of it overall? Well, when I'm considering reviewing a watch on my channel, the watch should meet 2 criteria. It should be both excellent quality and excellent value at the respective price points. So this watch is $254 and you can use the discount code WR4K to get $15 discount off that price. This watch is absolutely loaded with specification. Double dome sapphire crystal with AR coating, BGW9 superluminova on the applied indices and the Mercedes hands, 100 meters of water resistance, and it uses the reliable, well-proven workhorse movement, the Seiko NH35A, which is very well regulated as I've discussed. Often I'm highly critical of brands of only having 3 micro adjustment holes in the clasp. As you can see, like many things, San Martin have got this correct. They have got 4 micro adjustment holes in the clasp rather than only 3. Screw pins in the bracelet are another cost-cutting measure I'm often critical of, brands using push pins. So they have got that correct as well. So everything about this watch, all the things that brands get wrong so many times, they are getting it right and they deserve full credit for it. This watch is a champagne watch for lemonade money. Yes, it is excellent quality and yes, it is excellent value. I like this watch so much, in fact, that I've decided to add it to my own personal collection. So that is the highest compliment I can pay a watch, to add it to my own personal collection. I think this is just outstanding. If you are looking for a daily wear piece, this is it. It cannot be beaten for $254. So I hope you've enjoyed my review of the San Martin SN020-G limited edition. Please feel free to post your own comments below the video. Thank you very much.